Have you ever felt as if something fundamental in your life was about to crumble? That feeling that a rock, a pillar of your existence, could simply give way before your eyes, leaving a trail of uncertainty and fear? Well, imagine a story where exactly this happens, but in a way that, instead of destroying, rekindles the flame of faith and hope, transforming the unthinkable into a testimony of a greater love. Hang on to every word, for this narrative can be a mirror of your own journey, and the key to understanding that even when everything seems to fall apart, divine love sustains us. Before we delve deeper into this inspiration, if you know someone, a friend, a family member, or even yourself, who needs a special prayer right now, write their name in the comments. Let's add all these names to our main prayer with the rosary, asking Our Lady's blessings upon each of them. And if this message touches your heart and you'd like to support our work so we can continue bringing light and hope to more people, please consider donating any amount you wish by clicking the first link in the description or the thanks button below the video. Your generosity is a gift, and Jesus, in His infinite goodness, will repay you double, helping us immensely to maintain this channel and our mission. It was a time when a subtle shadow seemed to hover over hearts and minds, a silent restlessness that, though unseen, was deeply felt by many. People, amid their routines and activities, carried a weight, a kind of collective anxiety that manifested itself in small gestures, lost looks, and an almost unconscious search for something that could bring peace. There was no visible threat, no concrete problem that everyone could point to, but the souls of many seemed thirsty, in need of renewal, of a certainty that could dispel the fog of uncertainty that stubbornly enveloped daily life. It was as if faith itself, for some, was undergoing a silent test, an inner trial that needed a sign, a demonstration that they were not alone and that divine support was real and constant, even in life's most nebulous and disorienting moments. And then the unthinkable happened, not literally or frighteningly, but as an echo of a symbolic event that resonated in everyone's soul. It was as if, in the most sacred place visited by pilgrims seeking solace and faith, Mount Medjugorje, the most solid and unshakable symbol of the Christian faith, the cross itself, for an instant, had fallen before everyone. Not a physical fall that could be seen with the naked eye, but an internal collapse, a shaking of what people believed to be eternal and immutable. For each person, this fall represented something different. The loss of a job, the breakup of a beloved relationship, the discovery of an illness, or simply the feeling of being adrift without direction. It was a moment of collective shock where the stability they thought they had collapsed, leaving a void, a sense of disorientation, and a sense that something fundamental had been lost, testing the resilience of their beliefs and the strength of their devotion. In the wake of this falling, came a wave of disorientation and questioning that spread like a murmur among the faithful and those seeking hope. Many felt lost, their faith wavering like a sail in a strong wind, and doubts arose in their hearts. Where is the certainty I relied on? If even the symbol of our faith seems to be giving way, what is left for us? The human mind, faced with the unexpected and with what seems unbreakable breaking, tends to seek answers and, in their absence, to succumb to profound discouragement. It was a moment of trial, where the darkness of uncertainty threatened to swallow the light of hope, and each person found themselves faced with their own fears, questioning the path they had taken and the strength of their deepest convictions, feeling the weight of the problem that had manifested itself so overwhelmingly in their lives. It was then, in the silence of that collective despair, that a barely audible voice began to echo, not grandly, but as a gentle whisper that infiltrated the most attentive souls, reminding them of the essence of true faith. Amidst the emptiness left by what seemed to have fallen, emerged the memory of divine promises, of the constant presence of Our Lady, and of the unshakable truth that the cross, even in its apparent fall, carries the message of salvation and a resurrection that is beyond human comprehension. It was as if, at the lowest point of the journey, a faint light had appeared, pointing to the path of prayer, humility, and surrender, inviting each one to look within themselves and remember that the strength of faith does not lie in the absence of problems, but in the ability to face them with the certainty of divine support. Slowly, like streams joining together to form a mighty river, people began to unite, no longer in despair, but in a renewed spirit of devotion. Small groups formed, prayers once uttered in isolation became a unison chorus, and the rosary, with its grains marking each Hail Mary, became the link in an invisible chain connecting afflicted hearts. In each prayer, in each mystery contemplated, new strength was found, forgiveness was cultivated, and love for one's neighbor, previously overshadowed by one's own pain, was rekindled with vigor. The presence of Our Lady, felt in the peace that invaded hearts during prayer, acted like a balm, healing wounds and restoring faith in the promise that, even in the greatest trials, her protective mantle would never abandon them. And so, through persistent prayer and the renewal of faith, what once seemed like an irremediable falling of the cross in Medjugorje turned out not to be destruction, but a profound transformation. The cross, which had metaphorically given way, did not disappear but re-emerged, firmer and more meaningful than ever, not through a human act of reconstruction, but through the intervention of divine grace that worked in the hearts of the faithful. They understood that the true pillar of faith does not reside in physical symbols, however sacred, but in the unshakable belief in the love of Jesus and the intercession of Our Lady. Every problem faced, every tear shed, and every prayer offered served to solidify this conviction, demonstrating that life's difficulties, when placed in divine hands, become stepping stones to a deeper and more resilient faith, where the cross, in its essence, remains erected in the hearts of those who believe. The impact of this symbolic falling, and the subsequent rediscovery of faith left an indelible mark, not of sadness, but of a more robust hope and unshakable devotion. Those who witnessed and felt the depth of this experience took with them a comforting certainty that even in life's darkest moments and most unexpected falls, faith in Jesus and devotion to Our Lady are the beacons that guide us out of the storm. They understood that trials are not meant to shake faith, but to strengthen it, revealing God's loving presence in every detail, and that Our Lady's mantle is a safe refuge, always ready to welcome and intercede, transforming despair into peace, doubt into certainty, and pain into a living testimony of the love that overcomes all. Have you ever caught yourself in your hectic daily life, feeling a kind of silent weariness, as if life's small pressures and uncertainties were, little by little, eroding your inner peace? It's not a sudden catastrophe, the kind that shakes the world and forces us to a halt, but rather a series of mounting worries, unpaid bills, unspoken words, or even a void that seems to slowly expand in our chest. It's at these times that we often realize that our mountain, that pillar that supports our stability, may be silently tilting. Just like the subtle shadow that hovered over hearts in our story, faith can seem distant, and the once firm certainty begins to give way under the weight of an invisible but real spiritual weariness, showing that faith isn't just for the great shocks, but also for lifting us up from each small exhaustion that life imposes on us, day after day. And when the cross falls, even symbolically, within our own reality, be it a shattered dream, a betrayed trust, or the feeling that a life project has crumbled before our eyes, what is your first reaction? For many, it is shock, profound sadness, paralysis before the rubble of what seems so solid and unshakable. But what to do with the remains, the ruins of an ideal that has vanished? It is precisely in this vacuum of hopelessness that we are invited to a radical choice, to look at what remains, not with eyes of defeat, but with the perspective of those seeking resurrection. Our history shows us that it is not about avoiding the fall, but about finding the ground where God is waiting to lift us up, offering His hand so that we can, like the pilgrims in Medjugorje, find new and deeper meaning in pain and transform it into a rebirth of faith stronger than ever. Imagine for a moment the feeling of being completely alone, carrying a weight that seems too great for a single pair of shoulders. Often in our personal journey, challenges arrive in such a way that they isolate us, making us believe we are the only ones facing a certain battle, and it is in this isolation that the strength to move forward seems to fade. However, the experience of falling from the cross in Medjugorje teaches us a powerful lesson about community, about how shared pain and united faith can move mountains. We are not alone. Devotion to Our Lady and the Rosary are not just individual prayers. They are invisible threads that connect us to one another, forming a network of mutual support, where one sustains the other, and where the prayer of one joins the prayer of all, transforming solitary lament into a chorus of hope that rises to the heavens and is capable of rebuilding what once seemed lost. Finally, I invite you to reflect. What scars do you carry in your soul, marks of moments when your own cross seemed to have fallen? Those events that at the time knocked us off our feet, but that today, looking back, we realize sculpted us, made us stronger, and brought us closer to our essence, to God? It is essential to understand that each trial overcome, each tear wiped away by faith, and each pain surrendered into the hands of Jesus and Our Lady, does not diminish the value of the lived experience, but transforms it into a living testimony. What we thought was the end reveals itself, in the eyes of faith, as the beginning of a new and deeper path of devotion, love, and divine understanding. Thus, the cross that fell was not the end of something, but the awakening to a more conscious and resilient faith, more beautiful and more resplendent, because it was forged in the fire of trial and sustained by maternal love. This story of the falling of the cross in Medjugorje is, at its core, an invitation to look at our own lives with new understanding. How often do we feel that a pillar in our own existence seems to be giving way? Whether it's our health that falters, a relationship that falls apart, or our faith that is tested by daily trials. It is in these moments that we are called to remember that, just as in the narrative, the solution is not in despair, but in turning to prayer, to the preaching of love, to the practice of forgiveness, and to the search for peace in our hearts. It is a constant reminder that faith is not the absence of problems, but the certainty that God is with us in each of them, and that Our Lady intercedes for us, helping us convert difficulties into opportunities for growth, and an even more unshakable faith. If you know someone who needs this strength, this embrace of faith, write their name here in the comments so we can include them in our main prayer with the Rosary. What is your reflection on this story? Have you ever felt that crossfall in your life? And how did faith help you get back up? Share your experience in the comments, as your story can inspire many others. If this video touched your heart and brought light to your day, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of our messages of faith and hope. May the peace of Jesus and the love of Our Lady be with you always. Amen.